YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and we have post-free agency and pre-draft, same thing there, division predictions. We're predicting the standings of the placings of each division. You know, this was supposed to be a RIZZ'S Jr. video, but we got Pete here. You know, he wasn't supposed to be here, so we don't have the graphics for Pete's divisions, but he's gonna fill us in. You're gonna give us thoughts, and you're gonna give him what you would do.
What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, but we have RIZZ'S Jr. for every single division up on the board with Pete's thoughts. What a great video.
Love it.
We're going to do this again after the draft. And let me tell you, right before we get started, something very, very important for me, at least.
I'll agree. I know what you're going to say. I agree.
Well, what am I going to say?
You're going to say that the draft could affect a lot of these.
A couple things, though. More than that.
Okay, go ahead.
The draft can make a team go from, I don't know if I'm going to have a team go from 4-1, but maybe 3-1. They can drop from 2 to 4. The draft matters. You know, you finish filling your needs. We've seen the last few years impact players, even in the mid rounds, change teams. They change it, and you know it's gonna matter. You know, the draft's gonna matter for me. We're gonna see big changes from me. But another thing is, people every year people act so shocked and surprised that a team went from worst to first, but teams change in the offseason. Teams have totally different schedules. They play a last place schedule. Like, people seem mind blown every time it happens. So, you know, I'm considering that. We see it happen more and more, so I'm considering that too. I think, you know, and people expect a team was really good last year, so that means they're going to be really good this year. Wrong. It's wrong. You know, some teams it's right, but you can't really expect the same thing. It's a whole new season. But I just had to get that out of the way right before we get started. That's our subscriber goal. It's 20K. We have a lot of NFL content, NFL draft season, so we're going to have a lot of NFL draft content live during the NFL draft. So you're going to want to subscribe. You're going to want to click the like button on any of these videos. You're going to want to turn notifications on. All that would be much appreciated. Let's start with Junior's AFC East. There you go.
I think it's kind of a given here, number 1. I'm going to go 1 to 4. I think it's kind of a given here. Patriots going to win their division. Now, 2, this is where things kind of get a little interesting for me.
2 to 4 is tight.
It's tight, but it's interesting because I think that the Jets have potential to get to 2. They have potential, but I think that the Bills, what they've done in free agency so far is only going to help Josh Allen's development and his production this year. And I think that, I'm banking all that LaShawn McCoy stays healthy for once. Like, I feel like I haven't seen him play a full healthy season in God knows how long, but I'm banking that they do. I'm banking that maybe that they're actually going to be decent. He'll actually try and he won't get hurt and he doesn't feel the need to sit out. So I'm saying that the Bills here, I'm a believer so far.
Okay.
I'm a believer that they can come in here and, like you said, 2 to 4 is tight, very tight. I think that Darnold's step up from year 1 to 2 is going to play a huge role in this. So I think 2 and 3 are probably the most interchangeable. I think 1 and 4 are pretty much locked on. I don't think the Dolphins are going to – obviously, they've kind of – seems like they're committing to the rebuild. It's what it seems like. So, obviously, I'm going to put them there in last.
All right. Now it's time for mine. Same exact.
Whoa.
But let me tell you, the draft will change things. The Dolphins, if they get a quarterback that, you know, I approve of, I have to approve, then they can go to number 2. I like their defense. I don't think they're really in a rebuild mode still. It's weird because defense they're definitely not, but offensively maybe. But I mean, they have running backs. You know, they could use upgrades at the receiver position. But I really like their defensive back, their secondaries, their linebackers are great. They just really need a quarterback. But for some reason, I started in reverse order. Patriots are 1, pretty obvious. You know, Tom maybe could take a step down a little bit in this game, but it's not really going to matter. Geniuses in the staff over there, playmakers everywhere. They drafted well last year. Isaiah Wynn's going to step up. They're not going to miss the guys they lost. They got Michael Bennett. The Bills are 2 for me too. I really like the way their defense plays. I'm a huge fan of Tremaine Edmonds. I think he was the guy that was going to take time. You know, I was really high on him, but I knew he might take some time. But he was already unreal last year. This guy's gonna be unreal. Let me tell you. And they have a great secondary. Tre'Davious White. They maybe have one of the best safety duos in football. Josh Allen. I like the way he surprised me last year. I like the way he played. They got some pieces on offense. The Jets. You know, people are really hyping up the Jets right now, and I'm not really getting the hype. I think really what it comes – I mean, their defense is going to be good. I know Greg Williams, you know, he's keeping the 3-4. That's going to be interesting, but the defense will be good. The offense, you know, Le'Veon Bell's good. They definitely need better receivers. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. I believe in his potential. I don't think we're there yet, though. So that's just really what's holding me back from. They can be a good team, and things will change here going into after the draft. And I already touched on the Dolphins. They can move up after the draft. So, Pete, any thoughts?
I would probably have the same 4 in that order. The Dolphins, I think they have a lot of talent on defense. So I think if they do get the right guy at quarterback, that could definitely help. And if he takes off, I don't know who it's gonna be, but if he takes off his rookie year and just has a great rookie year, then obviously they'll get bumped up. But yeah, you can't really mess with the order that much. Patriots, I think, are clear cut number 1. Bills, I think, are 2 as well. So
I got a quick question.
Just the last 2.
Cool question for both of you.
Okay.
If the Dolphins have a perfect draft, a great draft, they find their guy, what's the highest they can jump here?
They can go up to 2.
You think that's
the Bills and Jets have a draft too? That's what you have to keep in mind.
The Bills got a lot of picks,
And they got a lot of picks.
The Bills are
Dolphins,
looking pretty good.
If I will not rule out putting them from 2 to 4 in my post draft. They won't.
Depending
Patriots
on what they do.
Patriots are 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the next team, the next division. I can't even talk. I'm distracted right now. We'll go with the NFC East. Junior's NFC East rankings.
All right, yeah, let's go ahead. NFC East, you say? All right, Dallas, number 1.
This is how they finished last year. You got them how they all finished.
I got them how they finished last year, but this is why I'm not okay. I'm going to address the other teams first because I think Dallas is just going to fall into first place because of these other teams. That's what I honestly believe. I think that the Giants are terrible. They're terrible. They could draft a young rookie quarterback, but I think even if they do that, they're going to be dumb and not start them. I think they should start. They're not going to do it. Their offseason has so far been pretty bad, I would have to say. I don't agree with the trade of Odell. I don't agree with that at all. I think the Redskins, obviously their quarterback situation, they need Keenum to step up. They need Darius Geis to, coming off a pretty big injury, needs to step up. If he steps up and has a full season here, I think that's a good little duo they got at running back.
Trio. Chris Thompson, too.
You can't rule out Thompson. Then going up to Philly, Wentz has been questionable. He's been questionable
for his play and for his health.
Right, play and health. Obviously, last year when he was healthy, they didn't do a good job at protecting him. He was hit a lot, and that's why I think that Dallas is just going to kind of fall into his first place. I don't think Dallas is going to be this amazing team. They're going to be good. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be better because these other teams have so many question marks. That's why they're going to finish first here. But if Wentz plays how
2 years ago?
2 years ago, Wentz, if he plays like that and they protect the man, easy one. Yeah. Those two can switch, but that's a big what if for the Eagles, for me.
Okay. We'll move on to mine, and I promise we'll have differences. We're going to have differences in a little bit. But this one's tough.
This is how they finished last year, you know that?
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. So the Cowboys, to me, are the most balanced team out of these group. They don't really have a lot of needs. They have everything, but the Cowboys are inconsistent. One year they're just terrible, and then one year. So we don't really know what we're going to get from them. You pretty much touched on everything. And the Eagles, I'm not, Carson. I'm a believer in Carson Wentz, but I just don't know what we're going to get from him. Can he stay healthy too? So, if, like you said, it's going to be, if Carson Wentz plays like 2 years ago and they protect him, it's an easy one, I think. So they do have some needs here and there. They have to stay healthy. They were really beat up on both sides of the ball really last year. The Redskins are 3. And let me tell you, the Redskins can win this division. They're at 3 right now. Keenum, he had that year with the Vikings. The difference is he needs more receivers. They need better receivers. They haven't valued that position. I don't know why forever, but they're going to finally do it. I think in the draft we'll see post draft. So I think they can bump up. I like the talent they have on defense. They've drafted well over the years on defense. So the Redskins can be bumped up. Honestly, the Giants, I say that it's realistic they can bump up a spot. In my post draft they can finish 3 or 4 because like you said. They could get a pretty good quarterback that's better than Eli, but they probably will start Eli still. They also have holes at plenty of other spots, but they can fill in the draft, so they can be bumped up from that. But yeah, it's hard to know what we're going to get from the Cowboys, and it's hard to know what we're going to get from Wentz, and that's why I kind of kept the same. And I do like that the Cowboys are balanced. Pete, thoughts?
I would actually have the Eagles and Cowboys flipped. I would have the Eagles winning. Ooh. I think they turned it on at the end of the year. Last year, I think they got better this offseason.
They turned it on because who was at quarterback?
I know, but I think they got better this offseason. The Cowboys didn't really do anything to get that much better. Like so far, I know we gotta wait. The draft's the most important thing, but like if you like look at the teams and like look at who got better and who didn't, like the Giants got worse. That's why they're at the bottom for everybody. I mean, I agree with Junior. If they get a quarterback, like I think they should play the quarterback, but I have a feeling they would not play him, and Eli would just be the guy, and the person would just sit behind him, which is just really dumb. I don't think it's just gonna hold them back. So, I would kind of agree. Again, it's a toss up between the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I'd probably flip them.
Okay.
For me right now.
AFC North. Let's see if we can have some differences.
I think we are right here.
You think?
I think so.
AFC North. That's Junior's.
Boom.
He's on the Browns train.
Last year I put my foot in the Browns pool. Just put it in. I'm
testing
cannonballing
it
in
out?
this year. I'm cannonballing in, and I'm going to Browntown. I think that they're gonna win this division. I think it's kind of clear cut. I think.
Whoa.
I think it's clear cut. I think they're clear cut the best team in this division on paper. I'll say on paper. The Ravens scare me. They lost a lot on defense, and they have a lot of guys on defense that are young, next man up, that have potential. Don't get me wrong, but they need to play at that potential or better, obviously. I like Earl Thomas. That's a good little veteran to kind of secure that back end of the defense, and I like it. But I don't know. I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson quite yet. He needs to show me a little more. His playoff game was god awful, so I just I have to see Lamar Jackson take that step. But if he does, they can be good, but they're still not going to win this division, even if he has a great season. In my opinion, pre-draft. Let me get that straight.
Okay.
Then we're going to go to the Steelers here. They lost a lot. They have picks to kind of fill in some needs, they got lost some huge people. Especially for that offense, but I think that's they need to commit to the rebuild. If I'm the Steelers, they just commit.
I don't think they do that.
I know, but I think they need to. Even if they commit to the rebuild, they're going to be better than the Bengals. Let me tell you, the Bengals, never been a believer in the Bengals ever, and I'm still not.
They're last year,
they may
Ohio.
start the season off real good.
Ohio's only big enough for one team. Let me tell you, and that's the Browns. So we're going to keep the Bengals here where they belong, and that's in 4th place.
Okay.
Harsh.
Moving on.
That was a little harsh. I'm sorry.
And
Cincinnati.
we have a little difference here. I got the Ravens at 1 still. I think really the difference is I think the Browns are still very, very young. On paper, they look really good, but they're very young, and I'm a big Baker fan. The Ravens got a rookie quarterback too, but there's going to be moments where some of these young players, they're not going to be on their game every week because they're still young. And I still think the Ravens could have the best defense in football, even losing Mosley and Zadarius Smith. Kenny Young, they got last year, going to be just fine. They have a long list of pass rushers to fill in for Zadarius Smith too. They got Bowser, they got
Bowser, yeah.
Yeah. Bowser. Tyus Bowser.
From Super Mario?
No, from Houston. And they have Tim Williams from Alabama. That's a normal name. Tim Williams, Tyus Bowser, and Tim Williams. Those are the guys that are going to step up.
Wow.
So they got some guys that will step up. Genius defensive mind over there with their new coordinator last year. The blitz packages were unreal, especially running that 3-4 too. It's just this defense still could be at the top, and I think that's the difference. The difference is that, and the Browns did lose their defensive guy in Greg Williams, and they're pretty young. I do like some additions they made, but it's going to be a battle. Ravens-Browns going to be a battle. The Steelers honestly could win the division. I don't think they're in the rebuild mode. They could win it. There could be some changes here post-draft. They still got Big Ben. He's maybe not playing at the level he once was. They didn't even have Le'Veon last year, so I don't think
James Conner was a beast.
Yeah, James Conner's good. James Washington's going to step up. They drafted last year. I liked him a lot. So they can compete with this division. They definitely can finish first. We'll see what I have post-draft. The Bengals drafted very well last year. I just don't think they have, they don't have that top-tier talent to set them over the other teams, really at the important positions. They have some really good guys like A.J. Green and Joe Mixon, but Geno Atkins on defense. They drafted pretty well last year, but it's going to take some time. Dalton's solid, but maybe not good enough to get by these other teams. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I think I'd have the same as Riz here. I think.
Wow, thanks, Pete.
It's tough. I mean, this is gonna be a tough division. I think those top 3 teams any of them can win it. Honestly, I mean the Steelers always draft well at receivers. So I mean, I know they lost Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, but they already have Juju, who's ready to step up and be a receiver number 1. They have James Washington. I'm sure they'll draft a couple guys. Maybe they'll draft Marquise Brown.
I don't think they want anything to do with that.
I don't think so, but you never know. But yeah, the Ravens, I mean, the defense is just a veteran defense. Like, they have a lot of players, a lot of rotational players that come in, keep fresh guys out there. That helps them a lot. I think Earl Thomas is an upgrade over Eric Weddle too, so I think defense will be just fine. Just really depends on the development of Lamar Jackson, like we talked about already. I love Baker a lot, but like some games he'll have like some bad games where he throws a lot of interceptions and does some stupid stuff. But yeah, the Browns are looking good for the future, and so are the Ravens. So
yeah,
love it.
NFC North time. I think the best division in football. It's
Whoa.
Let's just look at juniors.
All right, I
think these. Let me say why I think it's the best division in football. I think when I'm in my head making these, I think each team's separated by one game.
I have two divisions in the entire league that 1 through 4 interchangeable. This is one of them, kind of like you just touched on. But I think that this is, again, like I said, top 2 most competitive divisions in all the league. And I think that the Bears are going to do it again. Sure, maybe it's a little biased. I'm a Bears fan. But, talent-wise, what they did last year, I think you're going to see them. I think the defense, I know that turnover defenses, by history, don't perform the same the year after. But I'm going to say they do. They're not going to be the same turnover defense, but their defense is still going to be great. The Packers, I like what they did at defense on the defensive side in free agency so far. But I don't know. The Packers, there's a lot of what ifs for me. So I think 2 and 3, Vikings, Packers, very interchangeable. And it's like the Packers, they need to give Rodgers some more weapons besides Devontae Adams on the outside. But then the Vikings, if Kirk steps up and plays how they paid him, they could be 2 or even 1. These 2 could be interchangeable. I think that the Lions, I don't know. I'm not a believer in the Lions. They've made some solid additions, but they're a team that their potential is way higher, and it has been, but they have just underperformed year after year after year, and that's why I have them here, because they have consistently let down the city of Detroit, and I think that they're going to continue to do so. I'm very harsh on these 4th place teams, but
yeah, this is a very good 4th place team.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll just show mine. I got the Lions at 4 as well. I think the Lions can finish. If they finish first, it wouldn't surprise me. I think all these teams are separated by about 1 game right now, maybe 2. I put the Packers at 1 because Rodgers is going to come back healthy. They already improved. They had a bunch of holes last year, and there's Packers fans that kind of argue with me that they didn't have holes. They were good, and it didn't really matter. But it was the truth. And now they filled those holes, so I'm a believer now. They got a couple picks. They got a couple players they need to bring in probably in the first round. They got 2 first-round picks. So top-tier talent, guys, what I'm trying to say, to bring in maybe at the receiver position. We will see. I got the Bears at 2. I still think they have a top defense in football, but they're going to take a hit because losing Vic Fangio, it's going to be really hard to repeat the turnover thing like you said. And now they play a first-place schedule. That's the other thing about the Packers. They play a third-place schedule. So that might be the difference. Like I touched on in the beginning of this video, people get surprised when teams go from worst to first. They play easier schedules. So the Bears are going to have a tough one. They played the last-place schedule last year, first this year, but I still got them at 2. Very good defense. But the thing with the Bears is Trubisky's going to have to improve. Like if you stay the same, you get worse with quarterbacks because teams start figuring you out. They're able to game plan, and some throws turn into turnovers. And so if you stay the same, you actually get worse as a quarterback. So he needs to improve, and that's really the difference in the Bears. The Vikings, they're at 3 for now because they still need more offensive line help, which I think they can do in the draft. Basically, I think they're an offensive line away from being, not only going from 3 to 1 in the NFC North, but maybe a top 3 team in the whole NFL like we expected last year. People are going to say, no way. You see their season? Yeah, it was a disaster. It was a disaster season. They still finished second in the division, but teams go back to what they're supposed to be all the time like that. And then the Lions are 4. I kind of touched on the Lions. They're pretty good. That defense at the end of the season was darn good, So if that continues, it's really on Stafford. Stafford has to step it up. Can't play the way he played last year. And like I said, any of these teams, if you told me any of these teams here was going to finish 4th, I would, I could believe it. And if any of these teams finish first, I could believe it. So that's just how it is. the difference is one game.
Yeah, it's tough to list. I think I'd just keep it the same as how they finished last year. Honestly,
Love it,
Right
Beast.
now.
Love it.
yeah. I mean, like
The thing with the Packers,
I mean,
they actually won 6 games last year. That kind of sticks to me, but
yeah, but I mean, like we're looking at like the team right now. Like we could say like the Packers got all these picks and stuff. Like they could be good, but like we don't
This
know
is pre-draft.
Yeah, we don't know what they picked yet. So I don't think that makes them that much. I don't think they're number one right now. I don't think that at all. I think teams are pretty much the same. The Vikings had to keep Anthony Barr. I think that was big time for them. Their defense is still intact for the most part. The Bears are pretty much a similar team. They lost a couple players on defense. They got a couple players to fill those spots, so I kind of just leave them where they're at. And then, the Packers, I'd leave where they're at. They're definitely getting better, and we got to see what they could do in the draft. And that's definitely going to make some changes. But, yeah, this is kind of a toss-up with these 4 teams here.
okay, we're moving on to the AFC South. Would you
This
use
is the-
rankings?
this is-
Like I said, there was 2. This is the other
this
one.
division is. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the North. Or the NFC.
No, but
North.
I'm saying the best division in terms of all 4 teams, it's going to be
Well, yeah,
tight.
I think I think these are decided by
I think
one
they're-
game each.
I think these teams are
They're good, but I just think
I think they're all like similar. I think the Titans are similar to the Vikings. I think the Colts are similar to the Packers. I think the Texans are similar to the Bears. I think they're like similar like type of teams.
I guess. Yeah, I think it's hard to do this division. They're all separated by probably one game once again.
Alrighty. Number 4. I'm going to start 4. I think that Houston went on a heck of a run last year. So they're going to be playing a first-place schedule, and they haven't really done much to fill a lot of the guys that they lost in the offseason so far. And I think that they, to me, have taken a huge step down. Obviously, this could all change with the draft, but they've taken a huge step down. This is going to be a first-to-worst situation in my eyes. Going up to number 3 here, I'm not a believer in Nick Foles. He's good, but I think his magic is in Philadelphia. I don't think he's going to have the same type of success here in Jacksonville. I think that obviously the defense is going to take a step up back to where they were 2 years ago. Maybe not debatably the best defense in the NFL, but they're going to be back up there. They're not going to play how they played last year because that was terrible. The Titans kind of touched on in a lot of our free agency videos, but the Titans have addressed numerous needs and spent their money wisely, and they still have the draft to do even better. But I think even without the draft, they have made significant upgrades at each of their positions. And I think 1 and 2 here are very tight for me. I have the Titans ultimately at 2 because I think that Mariota's health is the biggest question for me. Biggest question. Obviously, they've spent the money in Saffold to protect the man, but that's signing him on paper, protecting him on paper is a completely different thing. He needs to play a full season healthy, and then maybe they can switch here 1 and 2. I think that the Colts, they kind of turned it on late last year. I think they're going to come out of the gates firing here, and I don't know. I think that's why I have them here right now. There's just, for me, 1 and 2, there's too many questions. Not too many, but there's more questions for the Titans than the Colts for me, and that's why I have the Colts 1 and the Titans 2.
Okay, my rankings, very tight, very tough to decide. The draft will change things, will be the deciding factor. That's what I got. I basically got 1 and 3 swapped here, and I'll tell you why. Let me start with the Colts because people are probably wondering. They were damn good last year. At the end of the last year, they were real good, and we're saying this is the team of the future, and they very well could be. But also in the back of my mind, I'm sorry to say to the Colts fans, I still have some doubts. Riz always doubting the Colts. I'm probably going to hear it. And I didn't do too much last year. But that defense on paper really isn't supposed to be that good. It wasn't supposed to be that good last year. So maybe we start to see the real Colts defense here. They did add Justin Houston. They still do have Darius Leonard. But that secondary was not supposed to be that good. Maybe teams figure them out. And Luck was only healthy for that one season. He very well could get injured anytime. I'm not saying he's going to get injured. That's why I'm at 3. I'm saying it's kind of in the back of my mind. I'm a little scary. It's a little scary about the Colts. So, and it's just things that I still have questions about, but they could be the team of the future if they can draft well again, which is very possible like they did last year. They can beat a 1. The reason I have the Jags at 1, it just felt like yesterday they were in the AFC Championship, and they could have very easily went to the Super Bowl that year, and they could have won that Super Bowl. And that was with Bortles at their quarterback. Now they have Nick Foles. Now they're playing a 4th-place schedule instead of a 1st-place schedule. That defense was best or second best defense that year. They can get back there. I know they lost some pieces because they had to sign Foles. Offensive line I think is better than it was 2 years ago too. On top of it, just having Nick Foles and having the ability to go to the AFC Championship, because we've seen them do it with a worse quarterback, has them at 1 for me. Titans are at 2. Titans are probably the most balanced team out of all these teams. I could put them at 1. The thing keeping them from 1 is I have my doubts on Mariota's health. I hate to say it, but I can see him sitting out a couple games here, and that could cost him. So he needs to stay healthy.
We got Tannehill though.
I'm a big Deshaun Watson guy, a big believer in Deshaun Watson. I always have been, but I have them at 4. And again, this is like the NFC North. If the Texans finish first, would not surprise me. But yeah, they weren't that good at the end of last year, honestly. They're going to play a first-place schedule. I think Watson will be okay. I'm a little worried the defense won't be as good. That secondary, it's a little rough. So I think really why they're at 4, the difference is because I think they have more holes than the rest of the team. But if any of these teams finish first or last, it would not surprise me. What's Pete got?
I think it's the best division in football right here.
Whoa. Pete.
You guys said it. Anyone can finish first. Anyone can finish worse.
Yeah.
This is tough. You guys both have Texans. You guys both have Texans at 4.
Yeah, it was tough because I still think
It
they're
could
a good team.
It definitely could happen. Like you look at what teams got better this offseason so far, and what teams got worse. The Texans got worse this offseason so far. They tried to get offensive linemen. They didn't really get anyone. They couldn't. They were trying to get Roger Saffold. The Titans beat him to Roger Saffold. So that's all they complain about. The Texans is protecting Deshaun Watson. Well, you didn't get better doing that, so that's kind of hurting you. You lost Tyrann Mathieu. I don't think he's a good player. I think he's a little overrated, but they got Gibson from the Jags to replace him. But yeah, they kind of missed out on some guys in free agency. So you definitely could see them finishing last. I think them and the Jags would be like 3 and 4 for me. I don't know. Those were kind of interchangeable. And then the Colts and Titans at 1 and 2. I'd have my team at 1. I think they got better in free agency. The Colts got a little bit better as well. They just got Justin Houston, which was a big get for them. But I think the Titans got better so far. And I think it came down to the last game of the season. If the Titans won that game, they would have made it instead of the Colts. And I think the Titans got that much better. I think if I think Tannehill played the game for the Titans at the end of the season, I think they would have won that game. Like Gabbert missed so many easy throws, turned the ball over like crazy. I think Tannehill would definitely hit some of those throws and not turn the ball over as much.
So we're clear though,
if Mariota would have played, they would have won the game.
No, I'm just making sure people don't take it as you think Tannehill's their starter.
No,
that's what it kind of sounds like. But
I'm just saying, like if they had Tannehill as their backup last year instead of Gabbert, they would have won that game. I think, but yeah, again, you guys said it's all about Mariota's health. I think it was smart of John Robinson to get Tannehill in there in case he gets hurt. But I hope his injury luck turns around this year. I keep saying that every year, but he just has. I don't know. Like you can't. It's so weird. Like I think he just has the worst injury luck I've ever seen. Like it's not. I don't think he's like. I guess you could say he's injury prone, but like I think it's just bad luck. Like 1 year it was like the last game of the year. Someone fell on his leg and he broke his leg. Like you can't really do anything about that. It's like it's tough. And like that 1 year, his hamstring was bothering him. Like everybody's on the team's hamstring was a problem. I don't know what that was. And then this year he kept getting.
Wasn't it something like his elbow?
Yeah, he kept getting like stingers and couldn't feel his arm and like it's just.
All right, so what about the Jags?
Well, I got something about the Titans real quick.
You guys are talking about like the Jags, like their defense is the same. Like they lost players on defense. It's not the same.
Very good.
Didn't look very good last year. They lost Malik Jackson. They lost Gibson. They had to cut Barry Church because he was just going downhill. Like he wasn't the same as 2 years ago. Like Barry Church was a good safety. Now he's not very good.
They got Ronnie Harrison stepping up. They got Tevin Bryan stepping up.
I don't know. Do you see how bad Miles Jack looked last year?
I'm confident he can step up.
I don't know. It's just.
So what would you put?
Nick
your
Foles too. Like
you're spending too much time on this, and you didn't tell us your placings.
I
did.
I said Titans, Colts, and then it's tough. I don't know. Titans, Colts, Texans, Jags. That's what I think.
All right, Junior's NFC South.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna take the Saints at 1. I think that for me, this is they are 1 because Atlanta's health scares me overall as a team. Not even a specific player. Last year, how banged up were they? It was insane. Yeah. And it started week 1. It literally started week 1. And every week there was somebody significant just getting hurt. And that was huge to me. I just think that if they're fully healthy, they could easily win the division here, and potentially turn into the Super Bowl Falcons that we saw a couple years ago. But there's just a lot riding on that, so I'm playing the odds here, and I'm taking the Saints 1 and the Falcons 2. 3 and 4 for me is interesting. I specifically have the Panthers at 4 because of everything kind of surrounding Cam Newton. We think he had this significant surgery. There's kind of word out that he might not play starting next year, and that's why I have him 4. If he plays, this can be completely different. But I made this ranking based off of if he doesn't play a couple games, if he doesn't play off the bat. I think that the Bucs got some new coaching in there. I think they're going to kind of take a step up, kind of play like the Bucs that on paper they are. I think you're going to see them. They should have been more aggressive in free agency, but that's why I got them here at 3. But like I said again, if Cam Newton plays week 1, they can jump. They can go from 4 to 1 for me. They can go from 4. They can go anywhere.
Interesting.
But they're there right now for me solely based off the fact that I think Cam Newton, I'm kind of believing the rumblings that he might not play off the bat next year.
Okay. Here's mine. A little surprising move there at number
switch.
1. I got the Falcons at 1. I was a believer in them last year, just like I was the year before that. Last year they were too beat up to do anything early on. They started picking up towards the end. They had like the 3rd pick in the draft at one point. They went all the way down to, what are they at, 14? So, yeah, I still think Matt Ryan is, he's not going to win MVP, but I think he's capable of playing at MVP level. Devontae Freeman needs to stay healthy. That's a big part. They have the receiver unit. I think their defense they don't have holes. They need another D tackle. Could use a rotation pass rusher. They don't have any holes. He's got to stay healthy. I think Takk McKinley's going to have, I don't want to call it breakout season because he's already been good, but I think he's going to be something else this year. Him and Vic Beasley. So I think that defense steps up, stays healthy. I think the offense is good. And another reason the Saints don't really have any holes, but they don't have any, mainly on their defense, I'm thinking. They don't have any, Cameron Jordan's not going to get any better. Sheldon Rankins needs to stay healthy.
What about Davenport?
Davenport's going to step up, though, and he needs to stay healthy, too. But they have talent that they don't have the most talent on their defense. I think they could use more, but they got guys that are worthy of starting. And Drew Brees, honestly, didn't look good at the end of last year. In the playoffs, he didn't look good. And I think he has one more year left, and there's a time where he starts to, his play level's not there. I know they have some talent on offense, Michael Thomas and Kamara, and Brees will be good still, but I think the Falcons have more overall talent. I really do if they stay healthy. Another thing, the Saints got a lot of turnovers that won them games last year that were we talk about the Bears, usually teams don't repeat turnovers. The Bears just got I don't know how to. They were good turnovers. The Saints got ones where they were letting up big plays, and somehow a team would just cough up the ball. Excuse me. And and the Alshon Jeffrey thing in the playoffs. I don't know if that luck continues. Maybe it does. The Bucs are at 3. They have some holes, and there's a big gap between the top 2 and 3 and 4 to me. I don't post draft. I don't know if. I think 1 and 2 can swap, and I think 3 and 4 can swap. That's about it. But the Bucs have some holes. They have an early pick. Maybe they can make something happen with that. I'm still a believer in Winston. He's had his downs, but with Arians, I think he can make something work here. They have, some good talent here and there. I think Ronald Jones can step up. I'd like to think they can get another running back, and then defensively they have some talent here and there, but they have some holes. But the Panthers are at 4. I think Cam can play right away. I think he can play right away, but I keep that in mind that he is somewhat hurt at the moment because he had surgery. But when I do my 7-round mock drafts, I evaluate each team. The Panthers have maybe the most holes in the NFL. All over the offensive line. I know they got Paradis. They have Darrell Williams for 1 year, and he got hurt last year. They have no receivers besides DJ Moore. I don't know if they're switching defenses or not. They're rumored to be going to a 3-4. They got no pass rushers. They got guys that, people are going to be they got Irvin. I don't really care about Irvin, okay? They need better guys. Mario Addison. They need better guys. They got D linemen. They have no secondary. They got decent guys that can play here and there. This might be the team with the most holes in the NFL, but they won't, as long as Cam is playing, they won't be the worst team because they have Cam, they have McCaffrey. And after McCaffrey, they don't really have any running backs either. So, but Cam's that difference maker, so I don't think they'll be the worst team in the league. But based off roster, like holes wise, they're down there. Let me tell you, they're down there. It's not looking good. But we have the draft to get through, and
don't worry.
This is pre-draft.
I value the draft.
Panthers fans, don't worry. It could change.
You guys got the draft to fill those holes.
Pete, what do you got? Just rattle them off.
I would have the same as Junior. I would have the Saints, then the Falcons, and the Bucks, and the Panthers.
Do you think Cam's playing week 1?
The Saints should have went to the NFC Championship game.
Agree.
They probably could have went to the Super Bowl. Honestly,
Agree.
But they should have lost to the. They could have lost to the Eagles though.
They could have, but they literally they won that game.
The NFC playoffs was a mess. The Bears should have beat the Eagles. The Eagles should have beat the Saints, and the Saints should have beat the Rams. Like literally
the
ridiculous.
Saints are definitely a top team still. The Falcons were pretty bad. I know they had all these injuries, but yeah, they're definitely a team that could definitely turn around. That's why I have them at 2. And then you saw what Arians did with the Cardinals with like what they had talent wise, and like was able to keep them like at least like a decent team.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah. So I think you had Blaine Gabbert one year at quarterback, and they were actually like not like terrible either. Like they were like I think they were like
but that was David Johnson playing out of his mind.
Yeah, but I think Bruce Arians will definitely help that Bucks team out. I think that's why I have him at 3 instead of 4. And then Riz talked about the holes with the Panthers, pretty bad. But
that might be why
Cam's health is questionable too.
At the end, do you remember how many games they lost at the end of the year?
Yeah.
It might be a reason because those holes started to show up. AFC West, do it.
All right, here we go. We're gonna get right into it. I think that these top 2 teams, I think these are the best 2 teams in the same. Like this is crazy. They're both gonna make the playoffs again.
You know what? This actually could be the best division.
This
of football.
could be.
No,
this
I'm
could
thinking
be.
about it.
Could be.
Maybe not the North. Maybe in the NFC North. Maybe the AFC
but
West.
I think that the Chiefs, they're gonna take a step down as to what they were last year. Obviously, teams have the film out on Mahomes. They're gonna be able to scout. And like you said, Riz, if you're not getting better, you're almost you're worse because teams have the film out on you. And if that makes any sense at all, but teams know what you can do.
Good sense.
In our minds,
you think
does.
Bortles got worse? You stayed the same, but he got worse.
Right.
It looks like he got worse
because people were figuring out what he
stayed
does.
The same. Like in that young of an age, all of a sudden you can't throw the ball anymore unless you get hurt. You stay the same, and teams figure you out. That's literally what it is.
I agree, though. I'm in the same boat.
I'm just making sure they agree out there.
Right. You guys better agree out in YouTube world. But obviously, step down, but they're still going to win the division. I think that the Chargers, they filled some needs, and they're going to be good. They're going to be real good. I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for Rivers to take that step down, and he just hasn't yet. So I don't know. That's what kind of concerns me. But I think that the jump from 2 to 3 is pretty big. I think that 3 and 4 can be interchangeable because Flacco, how he's going to play for the Broncos, could be huge. But the Raiders also, they're going to be bringing in 3 first-round instant impact players. Instant.
I'm going to say this division could probably change the most.
Depending on the draft.
Because of the draft. Yeah.
And the Raiders, I have them here. I'm putting them here based off the fact that they keep Carr. They have 3 guys come in day one that are impact players. And obviously, Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams, I like the duo. I think that they need to address the running back situation that they got going on. But if they do, and we think they're gonna, I don't know. That's why I have them here 3, and the Broncos at 4.
Okay, mine a little bit different here. I got the Chargers at 1.
Ooh.
I got the Chiefs 2, Broncos 3, Raiders 4. A lot can change after the draft. I'm a big Mahomes guy. But yeah, teams can start to figure that out. But I do think he improves, though. But teams can still figure out the offense, like the system in general. But the main reason they're 2 and the Chargers are 1, the Chargers might be the most complete team in all of football. They could use a D tackle. And, if they had a first-round pick and that was it, they might be good. They're going to be fine. So, we've seen Mike Williams stepping up big time last year. They don't really need Tyrell Williams.
Saying they should trade everything to move up.
Yeah, and get a really good defensive tackle. And they could use a linebacker of the future. They don't need one for this year, really. I like the Thomas Davis signing. The only thing is you kind of touched on Rivers. If he kind of declines a little bit, that could be the reason they don't win the division. Gordon's got to stay healthy, but they're good there. The Bosa is going to be healthy. You expect him to be
from
more
day
healthy.
one.
Yeah. Big Melvin Ingram fan. They got talent everywhere. Very balanced. The Chiefs have holes everywhere on defense. The only reason, I said this before, I'll say it again, the only reason the Chiefs' defense wasn't the absolute very worst in football was because the sacks and the pressure they got from Dee Ford, Justin Houston, and Chris Jones. 2 of those guys are gone. and Chris Jones has to switch positions now because you switch defenses, and you have a bunch of holes still. You got Tyrann Mathieu, sure. You still have a bunch of holes, and you change defenses. Don't agree with it one bit. Teams will score on this team like they did last year. It might be even easier now. So the Chargers, because they're more complete, they're one, and they were pretty close with the Chiefs last year, so it's not out there. And for now, the Broncos are 3 and the Raiders are 4. Like I said, big changes could happen because of the draft. The Raiders have 3 picks, but they didn't make those picks yet. Derek Carr, still not 100% a believer. I'm not a believer in Flacco either. Maybe they bring in a quarterback. The Raiders don't have a running back, though. That's pretty big there. The Broncos got Lindsey. Yeah, I mean, Flacco can get stuff done. I like the receiver unit they got there. And the thing is, they got Fangio, too, for the defense, and they have a Bears-like defense. They got Von Miller, they got Bradley Chubb. They got talent everywhere on that defense. So I think all these teams could be good. I don't know if the Raiders are quite good yet, but they definitely can be in just a few weeks. But, yeah.
How many, Pete?
4. Kind of, right? 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
We'll say 4 or 5.
Depending on when this is uploaded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would have to save his Riz, actually. Chiefs just switching defenses and just the lack of talent is scary. They didn't really have the talent, that much talent last year, and they still were able to finish so high. But they had so many sacks last year. I think that's just kind of
led the NFL.
They led the NFL at sacks,
and
they got rid of Justin Houston and D Ford, so that's kind of scary there. So that's why I would have the Chargers up at passing them at 1. I think they're the most complete team. And then as far as 3 and 4, the Raiders haven't made those picks yet, so that's why I would have them at 4. I do love the Antonio Brown trade.
How much do you love it?
I love it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They got everyone bashed them. They got a first for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is really good, but they didn't have to give up that first for Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown's gonna be like Larry Fitzgerald. He's gonna play. He's still gonna play for a very long time. He's gonna be very productive. He has the skill and the desire to do
He's
that.
Not quite as nice of a guy as Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, the blonde mustache is gone and the blue dreads.
I'm just saying he's gonna play for a long time. He's gonna be good for a long time, no matter what age he's at.
He's gonna be father time.
He's gonna decline. He's gonna play. He's still gonna play well. He's just that good. So I thought that was a good move for them. Some of the moves I didn't really like. I thought they overpaid some guys, but yeah, we'll have to wait for the draft. Not the biggest Flacco fan either, but like Riz said, Fangio and their defense, the skill they have on defense is ridiculous. They should play a lot better than they did last year. I think they will.
All right, we're moving on to
the last one. I feel like this has been a 20-hour video.
It's been a long video, but it's a good one.
Okay.
There's juniors.
There's mine. We're going to start 4.
Same as last year.
Same as last year, but I have the Cardinals here at 4. This is the single-handedly probably the biggest team in all of the league for me. This and the Raiders are close. They can take jumps or significantly. I mean, they can't really decline worse than 4th place here, but their potential-wise, they could be very good or very bad depending on what they do in the draft. Yes.
I mean, what if they took Easton Stick?
Yeah, they'd be on the very bad end.
I'm kidding.
But I don't know. I think that the Cardinals should. I think they should go Kyler and trade Rosen. That's honestly what I believe. I've been saying it for a long time. And if they do that, they might be in a good situation here to take a jump. The Niners here, a lot is riding on the health of both McKinnon and Garoppolo. Those knees are weak out in San Francisco, and they got to just see how they perform. They can't take a jump. If they both stay healthy all year, that's a heck of a duo at running back, and you got a pretty good quarterback there. We think. We haven't really seen much of him. He's always been banged up, and he was a backup. Going to the Seahawks, on paper, we all thought they were going to be terrible last year, but they know what they're doing there. Last offseason, around this time last year, we were so confused about the Seahawks and what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they're doing something right because they're drafting well. They're developing young talent well.
They don't have a bunch of picks, though.
They don't have a bunch of picks, but I think that they're going to be up there. I think that they could also compete here. 1 and 2 is going to be 1 through 3 here. Is honestly, it's close. Depending, a lot of it rides on health. These young guys continuing to step up in Seattle, and then going to the Rams. The tape's out on them. What they run. Gurley's concerning me with that knee of his and why he was so sketchy about it, about how serious he was hurt. That's just weird to me. But I do think that I like the it's kind of like a signing that we're like, oh, he's washed. But I like the Clay Matthews to the Rams. I like that signing. I think it's going to help them, the pressure that they can get. And I don't know. I like it a lot. But like I said, 1 through 3 here, interchangeable. Interchangeable depending on health, development, and the tape's out. So, yeah, that's all I got for you.
All right, I just got to swap a 2 and 3 there. The 9, it depends on Garoppolo a lot because Russell Wilson he might be the best player in all of football. But, yeah, I'm so confused how they made the playoffs because they have a lot of holes on their team. They didn't really do too much in free agency. They don't have a lot of draft picks. The Niners, I think, are a pretty complete team. They don't have glaring needs. They have the 2nd overall pick, so they can get, something they can use the most there. But they don't have a bunch of glaring needs as long as they stay healthy. They were really beat up last year, really beat up. So, and they got playmakers everywhere, I think. Definitely could use another receiver, I guess. The Rams, I think that's pretty clear. The Rams are 1. They're going to be good no matter what here. Maybe they won't be back to the Super Bowl, but they'll be good to win this division. But, yeah, the Niners-Seahawks is real close, and the difference is Russell Wilson. Honestly, he's capable of winning this division, I guess. But they have holes here and there. And the Cardinals are 4, definitely the team that's not ready to compete, but if they get, it would be something we can update after the draft with this. If they get Kyler Murray, I'm not super high on Kyler Murray, but it's something to throw the other teams off. That's what they need, I guess, because if they just get a bunch of really good players, you're not really going to throw these teams off. Are you going to be able to jump them? You got to get somebody that's a wild card that's going to throw these teams off, make it hard to game plan against. So Kyler Murray makes sense in that way. And they can win some games because of that. So we'll see if that happens. But that's what it is for now. There could be some changes in the future.
I'd have same 4 as Junior.
You have the Seahawks, too?
Yeah, Seahawks at 2. I think if the 49ers, we got to wait for the draft. The 49ers got high draft picks. I think if they draft well, they could definitely jump the Seahawks because, again, the Seahawks do have holes. But Russell Wilson could carry that team. No problem. We've seen it in the past. So, I would stick with those. Rams, I think the Rams are kind of – tape is out. We saw the tape is out.
The tape is out, Pete.
They did make the Super Bowl, though.
But the tape is out. So there's a lot of tape out.
They're a very good team. I didn't think Joyner played that well last year, and they got Eric Weddle, so I like that. They were weak at kind of like that linebacker position, so Clay Matthews definitely kind of helps there too. So I think they did get better. Gurley is concerning, but I think they're the clear-cut best team in the division still.
Love it.
All right, there you have it. We'll update this after the draft. We have plenty of NFL draft content coming, all kinds of free agency content on the channel already. There's our stuff. Links in the description for all that. I'm trying to wrap this up. It was a long video. There's our stuff. Check it out. That's going to do it. Thanks for everyone's support. It's been fantastic. And, goodbye.